3,500 nickel miners from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada are marking their 9th month on strike against the world's second largest mining company, the Brazil-based Vale. On March 22nd, they held a march attended by roughly 5,000 people, including union representatives from across the globe. The march culminated with a rally at the Sudbury Arena. On March 11th, 8 months into the strike, the steelworkers overwhelmingly rejected Vale's latest contract offer, with 88.7% voting against. The very next day, the company announced from its headquarters in Rio de Janeiro that it would use non-union workers to return Sudbury to full nickel production, with or without resolving its dispute with the steelworkers. President of the United Steelworkers, Leo Gerard, a Sudbury native and former worker at the mines, says this action is unprecedented.
Well, the company has been threatening since a couple of months after the strike started that they were going to bring in scabs, and it has galvanized this community, has galvanized trade unionists across the province. For the Sudbury Basin, we've never had scabs. Our disputes were about economics and about process, and normally they got handled with some dignity, and when the dispute was over, workers went back to work.
Workers on the picket line say that Vale is already going through with its plan.
The last month or so, they're coming in big time, like by the busloads. Like they're bringing in different kinds of vans, they're flying guys in that they don't want us to see. It's not going to get any better if they keep doing that.
Workers also accuse the company guards of purposefully provoking them.
Well, they're recording everything we say on video. They've got parabolic mics. We come in here today, I've never met none of them. But she come over here right away and called me by my first name. Like, I've never met her. She knows everybody that's here by their first name, so I mean, that ought to tell you what they're checking out everything on you. They're parked on guys' streets, watching the troublemakers.
This time the company has been threatening scabs, suing individuals, firing individuals, usually a pretty authoritarian way of trying to intimidate not just our members but our community.
Usually they're right in your face. People are getting mad in the heat of the moment, and Inco's just pouncing on it, firing guys for even saying the wrong, like looking at somebody the wrong way. They're taking that as a threat, and they're trying to get rid of everybody that's even remotely mad at what's going on. And if you show your anger, you're in trouble. Like, so far 8 guys have been fired that they keep saying none of them will be back.
Vale spokesperson Steve Ball denies the company is deliberately trying to provoke the striking workers.
We've had problems with a few of them, and we've addressed that, but the vast majority of those employees have been going about their legal right to picket. We've been respectful in our conversations with them. Sure, emotions have peaked at times, I mean, that's to be expected, but we keep reminding ourselves that they are our employees.
Ball says the concessions, which represent fundamental changes to the miners' pensions, bonuses, and seniority rights, are necessary for the project to remain viable, in part due to investments required to meet new environmental standards. The union says that Vale knew about the new standards in 2006 when it purchased Inco, the previous owner. They add that the mines are more than viable, pointing to the $4.1 billion in profit Vale made in Sudbury alone in the 2 years prior to the financial crisis.
We were in a period then that we'd never seen before, unprecedented, very high nickel prices, almost off the chart. And during that time, I guess it would be true to say no company could help but make money. It was not sustainable.
Demand for nickel plummeted in 2008, with the price dropping from a high of $24 per pound in mid-2007 to just $4 in September 2008. But now the price is climbing again. At over $10 per pound, it is quickly approaching the price at which Vale first paid for Inco in 2006. Ball says that regardless of the price, the minerals themselves aren't what they used to be.
There's no doubt, in years gone by, the last 20, 30 years, we have had some of the richest ore that probably exists in the world. But those days are gone. That ore is mined out.
If that's true, Vale isn't sharing that information with its shareholders. Its website boasts about untapped nickel deposits and expansion opportunities in the Sudbury Basin. Vale Inco President and CEO Tito Martins sent out an open letter on March 18th, writing that the union's resistance is, quote, about the difference between refusing to let go of the past and embracing a sustainable future.
All along in this dispute, they've said this is about sustainability. When they bought these mines, they said that this was going to be the crown jewel in their empire. They said they bought these because of the low-cost, rich ore body and the skilled and talented workforce and the long-term supply of reserves. But by the time we got to bargaining, it was about something fictitious called sustainability.
The broader community has been hit hard by the strike. People are losing homes, small businesses are closing, and unemployment is rising.
Well, of course, the economy goes down in Sudbury every time the strike happens.
I feel for the families mostly. I'm hearing that there's more violence against women and more drug use and I think that it has some real impacts on real people when these situations come about, so it's quite unfortunate.
Aid organizations like the United Way are double hit by the strike. It means both a drop in their funding and an increase in demand for their services.
Last year, USW locally contributed to almost half of our campaign, which is $1.2 million. This was actually the hourly contributions plus a corporate match of Vale Inco. So when you take that out of the equation, community-wide, speaking on behalf of over 60 programs that we currently fund, there has been a definite increase in services.
The workers have set up their own food bank to help striking workers and their families.
Well, we're trying our hardest. Whatever we have, we give them. They try to come back only once a month if possible.
50 people a day that turn out to pick up food. And sometimes they're very sad when they come here. They really don't want to be here. But usually they leave with a smile on their face.
Amidst the troubles, some in town are blaming the workers for not accepting the company's offer.
I think they should all smarten up and listen to the director, and I think they're all overpaid to start with. What do they make minimum, 25, 30 bucks an hour? I'd say they should just fold her up and take what they give and be happy.
Online discussion boards on Sudbury's 2 newspapers are full of comments against the union. Michael O'Brien, a third-generation steelworker and hip-hop artist, thinks the miners have long been misunderstood by many in Sudbury.
There's always been this element of a little bit of hate in our community against people that work for this company. It's like a have-not attitude. So you have a strong union at a company, right? And someone that doesn't have a strong union is going to be like, why do they have this? As opposed to, why don't I have this?
One example is the steelworkers' defined benefit pension plan. Vale is demanding that new hires pay into a defined contribution plan instead, while allowing current employees to retire with the existing plan.
Inco employees have never paid for their own pension. Okay? The rest of the world, it comes right off our check. You know, whether we're in a convenience store or whatever.
So we don't have to pay under our pension, right? Awesome. That's how it should be. As far as I'm concerned, that's a basic human right. You work for a company for 30 some odd years, you know, you should be taken care of when you're old and you're going to die. Like, that's not socialism, democracy. It's like humanism. Like, take care of people, you know what I mean?
The company takes concession. Fist raised up in the air. Since 1962, the forefathers fought the fight. Now I'm proud to fight it too.
The unions, as far as I'm concerned, is the only people that are looking out for us right now. The government is not looking out for us at all.
Questions over the role of the government have surrounded the strike. Banbang Soriano, union leader from Vale's Indonesian nickel operation in Sarawako, says that in Indonesia, the local government supports the union, while the feds support the company.
In Indonesia, the central government mostly they like to have the investor to come, but the local government supporting the union when we are striking in 2007.
The Sudbury strike is following the same path. The mayor, who spoke at the rally on Monday, along with the city council, have criticized Vale's conduct and have requested Vale appear before them to explain the company's future plans for the community. The company has declined.
There will be a time and a place for those kinds of addresses to occur, but not at this time, because we know that that process just won't be allowed to happen in a proper fashion. An open city council meeting will cause all kinds of problems, and it's just not going to happen.
The company wants all levels of government to stay out of the dispute.
This is a private sector dispute and it will be resolved in that regard.
Meanwhile, the union is demanding action from both the provincial and the federal levels. They want the feds to release the details of a confidential contract signed between Vale and the government when the company first purchased Inco back in 2006. The Investment Canada Act requires sales of Canadian-owned corporations to foreign-owned corporations to be of, quote, a net benefit to Canada. The union wants to know what benefits the company promised in 2006.
Is when something's confidential, then people get suspicious about what's in it. But as I said, the government would have stepped in if we were out of bounds in regard to that agreement.
The fact that the federal government won't release the agreement that they made is really should be offensive in a democratic society. To believe that a publicly elected government could sign a secret deal with a publicly traded company and tell the citizens of that country that you're not entitled to know what the conditions are in which we gave away Canada's resources to this multinational. I think Canadians from coast to coast to coast should be angry about that.
At the provincial level, Sudbury Representative Rick Bartolucci of the ruling Liberal Party has avoided the issue altogether.
I want you to, if you can, stand up for a second and look underneath your seats. We're looking for a guy by the name of Rick Bartolucci. Has anybody seen him?
The union is asking the Ontario government to bring back the province's anti-scab law. The law was repealed under the previous Conservative government.
You're not going to settle this dispute with scabs, because in Sudbury, we're not going to tolerate scabs. And with the NDP, if you bring scabs, we'll get anti-scab legislation as quickly as you can blink an eye, even if we got to shut this whole damn province down. If the scabs come, why picket in Coppercliff when you can do it on the 401?
Highway 401, which runs across southern Ontario through the capital of Toronto, is North America's busiest freeway, transporting almost 500,000 vehicles per day. The company appears ready to push the union's hand, confirming plans to continue increasing its number of non-union workers.
We have customers out there. In a competitive world, we can't lose those customers. We need to continue to demonstrate that we can supply them.
In his open letter of March 18th, Vale Inco President and CEO Tito Martins accused the steelworkers of resorting to racism in order to rally opposition to Vale's latest contract offer. In Part 2, we explore the roots of that accusation. From Sudbury, Canada, for the Real News Network, I'm Jesse Freeston.